Hello again and welcome again to the Berkcast, the How to Train Dragon podcast. I'm your host HC and with me are
Rush 2112.
And Wolf.
And today you might not be able to see us, but all the three of us are actually right near each other, sitting on a small airboat in the middle of the water. And Wolf just gave each of us a copy of the entire How to Train a Dragon world. So, as we're here, and we can probably get to every island if we just please, let's talk about the How to Train a Dragon world and all the locations we know of.
We should correct one thing. This is not an entire map of the How to Train Your Dragon world. This is Hiccup's map of the How to Train Your Dragon world.
Close enough. It's nice. It's nice enough of him to actually, invent the thing that machine that can duplicate paper before we ever had it. So how nice of him.
Fair enough.
But anyway, our airboat is just now in the lake near Berk. So let's talk about Berk. After all, this is the Berkcast. I'm surprised we did more than 40 episodes and we didn't really talk about Berk in an analytic detail even once.
Okay.
So what is there to say about Berk? Aside of the fact that it's
it's a place that exists in an area. That's apparently not that enjoyable to live in.
Yeah, I pretty much have three words to describe Berk. This is Berk. That's it. Moving on. Let's go somewhere.
End of episode.
Yeah, that's all for this. And
looking at what we've seen of Berk, actually talking about it, from the movies to the show, it seems to be a fairly distinct place where you can find freezing mountains and less freezing beach or cliffside, essentially, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a very, again, like a very distinct place where it's very much, each area of the island is very distinct.
Looking at the map in general now, that I look at it seems like Berk is like the center of the earth. Like there's really nothing surrounding it. You need either a boat or a dragon to get somewhere.
It seems like it's the center of the archipelago.
Yeah, it's like somebody decided, we have too much water here. Let's just put an island. Not much of a big one. Let's just put an island there, and let people live here because why not?
You wonder if people would actually do that with the Atlantic Ocean, given how vast it is. One thing I do want to point out is that I used to be so confused in the movie, like, where was Higgett flying? Because, from what we assume, and based off the map, let's just say that Berk is on the south side of the island, and it's also a really massive island. So when Hiccup and Toothus are flying the first time in the first movie, you see like a mountain, but he appears to be on the other side of it, and then then he flies around, and then you kind of lose track of where he is, and it's like, wait a second, is he now flying in front of where people could possibly see him, or like where is he? You kind of lose track of where you are on Berk. It's just so massive.
I think in the actual scene where he says that everything we know about you is wrong, I don't think that's necessarily on Berk, but who knows?
Fair enough. Yeah.
I would say it is on Berk. I would say the first movie is entirely set on Berk, just because.
Well, except for the ending.
Except for that part, yeah, sure. But I would say the majority of the movie is set on Berk, simply because that makes sense for kind of how it's set up as a much smaller, more contained thing. And then you go to the second movie where we've branched out and we're going to a lot of new places that we've never seen before, that are much further away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. But yeah, as for one thing that's actually interesting to note about Berk is that it seems to be around 30% village and 70% forest. You know what I mean? There's a
And
lot of
mountain.
forest around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the mountain,
which
yeah, but
Makes sense.
Yeah, because it is a small village, and they did sail there a couple hundred years ago and have been attacked by dragons consistently since that point. So it makes sense that they wouldn't expand out to take over the entire island very
Especially
quickly.
the food source, which
Yeah.
farming and all that stuff.
actually, my question is: has anyone ever found the cove where Hiccup trained Toothless?
What do you mean? Like someone from Berk?
Like before Hiccup, before Toothless landed there, and Hiccup started to study him. Do you think anyone found this place? Did anyone actually train there, or?
I would say, yeah. I would say people knew the cove was there and existed. They may not have went there very often, but I mean, it's an island. Even if the island is fairly large, which we assume Berk is a fairly decent size considering what we've seen of it so far, I would say it's a fairly decent sized island. So I would say, yeah, people kind of have an understanding of where things are at on the island and a good comprehension of, like different places they could go to get away from stuff if they wanted to. But again, maybe they don't necessarily go there that often. Then again, maybe the cove could be a more hidden area. I guess it depends on how you look at things. It's very possible that it could go unnoticed by most people, but I would definitely say Hiccup's not the first one to have found it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on, we have the Red Death's Nest or Dragon Island. Now, I just have to ask something. Why is this island called like in the canon? Hiccup now refers to it as Dragon Island. Why? Considering the fact that we have Changewing Island, which is an island dedicated specifically to Changewing, Dragon Island kind of sounds a bit, open, if you know what I mean.
I mean,
what are we going to call this island? Well, we became friends with the dragons there, so Dragon Island? Brilliant. We'll use it.
I mean, a lot of dragons did live there at one point in time, and possibly still do, really. So it does make sense.
But Valka does say that every nest has its queen. So what happens when they find another nest with a queen? Will they call it Dragon Island 2?
No, they'll call it Fireworm Island.
Point made. But you know what? That actually raises the question I pointed out before. Like, then why Dragon Island? Like, was it ever referred to as the Red Dance or the Green Dance in canon?
They just there was never a name for it given in the movies. It was just, if I'm not mistaken, like the scene calls it the Red Death scene, and I think the music that plays during that scene also calls it the Green Death. So it's both, whichever you prefer. Some people will still say Red Death because that's the color it has in the movie. Even though it's very little red, it still has some red, so which is more than green.
At one point, Snotlout calls it Red Death in the TV series.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There's your proof. It's Red Death.
Yeah. To be honest, Red Death sounds a lot more menacing and
it does.
In my eyes, than Green Death. I don't know. Green Death sounds like
if Tough Nut
sounds like
Green
somebody.
Death,
It sounds like somebody died while eating his vegetables. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Tough Nut would say that make some sort of joke about that.
Okay. So yeah, but Dragon Island. To be honest, how much have we seen of it in the show? I know in Riders we saw it one time, but.
I think that's been about it. We saw, them take Toothless and the other dragons to Dragon Island and leave them there. Then we saw them come back with Alvin, and that's been it.
Yeah, other than their when they were doing the with a marking. That was their headquarters as well, where they stopped the Whispering Death. Or sorry, Screaming Death.
Yeah, talking about that, actually, when the show first came out, I actually thought Dragon Island was where the Outcasts lived at one point in time. Like, the way they set it up, it looked very similar. So I was like, oh, they live on that island? That seems a bit weird. Like, looking back at it, like after...
Take me to my home. Well, where is it? I don't know. I thought you know. It's your home.
That's why I thought it was a little bit weird. After seeing that episode as well, specifically, I realized, okay, so they're not the same place. But I definitely did it for a little bit think Outcast Island and Dragon Island were pretty much the same place for how they kind of showed Alvin when we first saw him and the island he was on when we first saw it. I thought it was a similar place, if not the same place.
Mm-hmm. Actually, one more thing to add about Dragon Island. Dragon Island has always been a part of the original map Stoic had of, all the islands surrounding Berk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always had it there. So how hard was it to really find said island when you have a map and a direction you can go at?
But remember, he didn't have the island itself. They called the area Helheim's. They called the area Helheim's Gate because they were never able to find the island or explore that area.
Mm-hmm.
They would always run into dragons.
Mm-hmm. Like when he stabbed the dagger down, like they had the map painted in a lot of clouds because the area was more or less unknown to them.
And somebody wanted to do their axe returns instead of go with.
Yeah, true. Good point. And then he had Toothless.
Which, by the way, implies that the Vikings came more from a easterly direction, I would say, when they arrived at Berk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're curious where the Vikings came from, they probably came from the more Norway-ish area.
Yep.
Because looking at Hiccup's map, where DreamWorks has it set up, if you're curious, on the official map that DreamWorks released, if you don't know and you've not seen it, they have it set up kind of in the middle of the Norwegian and Greenland Sea, which is in between Svalbard, Norway, and Iceland.
Mm-hmm. And just another note, if you're looking at this map, scale means nothing. They since they didn't have that much room and they keep adding stuff on, you'll get weird scales and things like that. Like, let's just put this in perspective. Fireroom Island, which is 16 hours and 30 minutes via Dragon to Dragon's Edge, is right next to Dark Deep, which is only 4 hours away from Dragon's Edge. So, and then, while Fireroom Island is also right next to Breakneck Bog, which is 20 hours from Dragon's Edge. So, everything's a little, and thanks to this, clustering as well, some things may not seem like they're right in terms of place, which, I was going to say I don't agree with it, but again, since it's so cramped,
we know about one thing. We'll get to it later.
Mm-hmm.
But as of now, the next location we have is the Berkery, also known as the island where the dragon lays their eggs in.
Again,
on the map, it's called the Rookery.
Yeah, when you called it the Berker, I was like, what is that? What is he referring to? Oh, the dragon nest, the dragon.
Apparently, according to the How to Train Dragon wiki, it's either known as the Rookery or the Berkery. But
the Berkery is a good name for it, though.
Yeah, right.
It kind of sounds. If you say it a lot of times and start to get confusing, and you can almost call it the bakery, and it's like, wait a minute.
That implies a lot of different meaning.
The dragons fly there each year to make us bread. Who knew?
Yeah. Real quick, I want to say something. They actually have Dragonvine Island on here already. That's pretty cool. Anyway.
Okay, so apparently from Dragon's Edge it takes about 59 hours via Dragon to get here from Dragon's Edge, but if we count Berk, however, Hiccup managed to get there and get back in a lot less time.
Oh, you're talking about the distance between
Yeah.
the Rookery and
Yeah.
Berk?
Oh, it's only a day and an
Yep.
hour. I mean, that makes. I mean, just given on the gift of the night theory,
Well,
how the time
keep keep
change.
in
Like that's a
keep in
like
mind the distance
Hiccup.
between that distance is measured to Dragon's Edge, not Berk, which is a
Yes.
bit annoying. It would be nice if they give you distances to a lot of the different places time-wise, just to kind of give you a better idea. So between Berk and the Rookery, you could probably cut that in half somewhat and say it's more like 25-ish hours maybe
Yeah.
on via Dragon. And this
If
is
you do
all
the
via
math.
Dragon, by the way. Which, yeah, looking at that and bringing that up does kind of bring up an issue that I think the franchise in general tends to have somewhat, and that's kind of a time issue.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how close are these places actually? How long does it take there to get via Dragon actually, you know? And then also by ship, like, you give this time via, you know, Dragon back, but we've seen them ride out via ship to some of these places a lot quicker, it feels like. Like we see Gopper and Stoic arrive at, you know, Dragon's Edge via ship. What feels like a day almost, but
Well,
we
yeah,
know it should probably be longer than
Well,
that.
okay, so they do say how long it takes to sail by ship.
Hmm.
When Gobber's during the Rumblehorn episode,
Hmm.
Gobber or basically Gobber says, "You think I sailed for a week just to get away from your father?"
Yeah.
So that actually
Uh,
makes sense. I mean, you
it,
know,
it make it make
it
yeah, it does.
and that one doesn't need really a time change because it's just like they never say, "Hey Gobber, we need you here," and then he shows up like the next quote unquote day.
Mhm.
He just arrives out of nowhere. But you're right. And then I mean the next time we see them on Dragon's Edge, uh they have Skull Crusher. I thought. No, Reign of the Fire Winds before Rumblehorn. Or was
Mhm.
it? Yeah. Either way. But yeah, I
Yeah,
see what you
but
mean. Rookery.
back to the rockery. However, when Hiccup starts flying there, we can assume it's morning, but by the time he comes back, it's already night. So I'll say it's at least around the 6 hours go and 6 hours back.
Well, that's again if it's what Wolf said, the timing. That or there's so many ways to explain it. One, they don't show the timing in the short film. Two, the writers just really didn't know how to. The writers didn't know that the map was going to exist and it was going to say it's 25 hours away from Berk.
No one is going to be too much of a nerd to check this out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the timing it could make sense if it was over like 3 days, right? So he gets there a day after he arrives, and it's around midday at that time. Then he stays for a couple hours with the dragons, and then he heads back. And by the time he gets everybody together with mind you the boat, it's another day, and it's close to nighttime.
Keep in mind that
You
kid
know,
went without
you
food
know,
or possibly water for a long while.
Yeah,
They're
well,
dragons,
that's
though,
an
that can bring
amazing.
him fish.
Wolf, I have two counter arguments for that. One, he's the main character. He can't die unless the writer decides to kill him off. Two, he's animated. He can survive.
Sure.
I'm just saying that
You see?
Hey,
You see, I'm right.
at one point, I read that sharks go in the center of the island and the dragons kill them, for one thing. So to eat them,
Sharks.
yeah, sharks. I don't know where I read that or why. That was
So
chosen.
that's why there are no more Jaws movies.
Yeah. Well, there's another reason for that. But so I mean, like I said, it's possible Hiccup can steal some food.
Probably. Or maybe they stopped for a few fish.
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly. Anyway, but yeah,
Okay, so the next
go
location is
east.
Outcast Island.
By the way, Dean, and there's a great idea for a crossover movie for you for How to Train Your Dragon and Jaws, Toothless versus Jaws.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Since we know, kind of Steven Spielberg works with DreamWorks from time to time on some of these things, there's you an idea,
The artist
Steven
formerly known
and Dean.
as DreamWorks.
Yeah, you know something.
It's
you,
not
you know
DreamWorks
something.
SKG, where S stands for Spielberg anymore.
Still yet.
Actually, have you guys seen the fourth Jaws movie?
No, I've seen the first one.
Okay.
None of the
I
others.
might have.
Okay, so if you haven't seen it, don't. It's bad, like really
mean,
bad.
None of the Jaws movies
here's-
have been good since the first one.
Yeah, granted, but like this is like a new level of bad. But
I don't
but,
know.
At the time, it was, but
Jaws 3D really puts that bar low.
you
do you know how many
Good
Sharknado
point.
movies they've made? All right, speaking of sharks, like seriously,
yeah.
don't talk to me about how
apparently
bad a movie can be.
That's apparently
movies are
that's a
great.
genre. Apparently that's a genre.
Yeah, that's B movie. That's a B movie. That B movie's great.
That's an
But I
F
think
movie.
we
You
can all
can't even
agree.
have a D- I
I
mean,
think we can all agree. Even in 2017, the shark still looks fake. But the, Back to the Future joke aside, in Jaws 4, the way they blow the shark up, I'm not kidding, no joke. What was the name? Ron Schneider, who's playing the main character in the first one?
I don't know.
And basically, the character's wife is like driving the boat, and then the tone of the boat goes inside the shark, and that makes the shark blow up.
All right.
So
Outcast
basically,
Island.
Hiccup doesn't
Yeah.
even. And I just want to say that basically, in a fight between the riders and Jaws, Hiccup won't even need Toothless. He just need a boat, and there you go. The shark's toast.
Fair enough.
Now to Outcast Island. Okay, so basically the one thing we pretty much know for sure about it is that Alvin lived there, and all the outcasts as well.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it quite a bit in the show,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see, apparently that's 28 hours via Dragon from Dragon's Edge. Which again means nothing because we are trying to assess it from Berk.
Yeah.
Well, again, like kind of
But-
cut it in half, somewhat maybe to a degree. Like rough estimate, it's probably 12-ish, maybe 14
Half.
hours.
No, this one isn't half. This is probably a little bit closer.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of like rough estimate, right? It's probably closer than that, but rough estimate, it's
Definitely half.
Yeah.
At most, I should say.
Yeah, because again, if we are going in universe, there are times when they again go fly there in the morning and come back before noon.
Mm-hmm.
So I just realized something when they said the Dragon's Edge will help them explore the. You know what? I'll get to that point later, and when we'll get to
I
Dragon's
know what
Edge.
you're gonna say. Anyway,
But we have Outcast Island, which fine. We've been on it a couple. Seems like a nice place. As Hiccup says, it always looks like a nice place to go on vacation.
mm-hmm.
All the dark clouds and stuff. Anyway,
All the dead
Berserker
trees.
Island, Berserker, even though we, how do I say it? Even though we heard about it before, like in the first few seasons, we haven't really seen it until the latest season, right?
We've only seen it from the outside, though. We've not really like been on Berserker Island yet either.
Yeah, but still, we never
skipped
really
over.
saw it.
We didn't talk much about Outcast Island.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Alvin used to live there. Awesome. Next one.
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Looking at it like from what this place looked like, it very much puts you in the mind of Dragon's Island. And it makes sense that Outcast Island would be a very hard and, very much barren place. This is Scar's land, essentially. If you want a good
Scar's
representation.
Land, okay.
From, Lion King,
Okay.
where the hyenas live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant bones
So-
everywhere. A lot of rock, no grass, no greenery, no sun. This is literally, the Badlands.
actually, I'm not sure how much it's true or canon, but in the longer TV series that's going on right about now, the place where the hyenas and the Scar's followers live is called the Outlands. Maybe
Yeah,
that's the official name.
whichever, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's been forever since I've seen that movie. Give me a
Where's
break.
Berserker Island on the map?
It is not on
Yeah,
this map
I
as far
was.
as I can tell.
Oh, great. So how are we supposed to get there in order to see it?
It doesn't.
I told you we should have taken
exist.
I thought we should have taken the left turn at Albuquerque, but whatever.
New
Why listen to
headcanon,
me?
Dagger is just a figment of Hiccup's imagination.
There you go.
Argument will be next episode between me and Wolf.
How do you explain Heather, though?
That is another figment. That's Hiccup's feminine side.
All right, makes sense.
She
Even
wanted
made-
to be
even made
Dagger's
Astrid
sister.
dress up
You know-
as Heather.
That
Just-
explains why she's so good at dragon training by herself.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. I like that.
Okay, now that we apparently agree with each other, anything else to say about Berserker Island aside from we probably need to see it war?
Yeah, I would like to see the actual island itself and what it looks like and the village of it. I doubt we will, but if we do, that'd be great to see.
Hey, remember?
But,
spin-off.
True.
Yeah, no,
I would
that be
say Berserker Island is probably located. A part of me wants to say Berserker Island is probably located more towards the northwest of Berk.
Yeah, I'd feel that too.
No real reason to that. That's just what I would say. That's how I feel. So
I can see that.
take that
too.
as you will.
Well, considering the fact Dagger and the Berserkers weren't necessarily like how do I call it? They didn't visit Berk a lot until Riders of Berk, from what we've heard. So it's probably far enough to not do the entire all the way by ship every single time. Anyway, next up is Dragon's Edge, which is 34 hours away from Berk. Wait a minute, this map tells us how far away something is from Berk. What the hell?
Yeah.
It should have been 0 hours from Dragon's Edge.
But
Anyway,
hey, the timing
yeah.
actually makes sense for once.
Yeah, to be honest, 34 hours is kind of a decent time considering the fact it's supposed to be far away from Berk because
Yeah.
they're trying to explore the world a lot more and find out new places and stuff, and this is like their high-end like base of operations. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I would
But
say
it-
it does. Like looking
Yeah,
at
but-
how we first arrived there and like the episodes leading up to that, it makes sense that it took them a while to get there and find it and everything. So the timing, I would say, does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
But yeah,
looking- go ahead.
No, I just want to say that Dragon's Edge as a whole is a pretty awesome place from what we've seen.
I
Too
would
bad
say
it's going. Too bad it's going to be brought down, but
I would say it's very similar to Berk in a way. Like it's very distinct and there's a lot to it. You know, you have your icy mountaintops and your green forest and your sandy beach and your cliff edges, and very much similar in somewhat of its design to Berk, even though it's possibly smaller than Berk. It's very much got a lot going on, as does Berk. When a lot of your other islands are a little bit more static or plain, and they have just kind of one design to them, and that's it.
yeah. But what I like about the Edge more than Berk, for that matter, is that you can tell that it's the riders' place. It's not a village where you need to share everything with everyone. It's like this. It's those 6 people, 7 if you count Heather, just being there, having fun, chilling, and trying to plan their next big move.
Don't you remember we
So-
literally called this the College of Berk where it's like
Yeah,
19, 20
yeah.
year olds off on their own.
The college of Berk, where there are only 6 students in the entire campus.
Berk,
For
yeah.
now. For now.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, maybe like How to Train
Gustav will
Dragon 3
be in.
will have like these Pixar type of or Marvel type of after credit stuff. You will see like they actually open a Dragon Academy on Dragon's Edge.
They could.
Gustav's the leader.
Yeah, well, Hiccup is busy being chief. Well, once
Yeah, Hiccup-
it's like Gustav, we'll let you be on Dragon's Edge when we all leave.
Makes sense.
No. I know what the Academy name will be. Team Astrid. There you go.
Oh, it's Tim Gustav. What are you talking about?
Gustav.
Yeah, you know what? Astrid will probably is probably still General Half. So yeah, point made.
It's
Point
a
made. Yep. It's a trap indeed. It's a trap indeed.
Yeah, letting Gustav run anything. Anyway,
But yeah, now that I'm looking on the map more, I'm starting to see that in regards to the Dragon Eye specifically, it showed more places that are more that are located more north of Berk rather than any other location. So, do you think it says something, or is it just like they decide, let's put it all in north because we don't know?
well, I mean the map that that they had a very 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 first episode of Race to the Edge. He pointed that it was going north, so that's where at least the the ship graveyard is. It's northeast, which he did that it was somewhat northeast, and so that's farther north than we've ever gone before. So it makes sense that it is north
Okay.
in respect to everything, and as well as when Vigo hands Hiccup the map in after Astrid got shot in the leg, like he says, like draws the line. Everything north of this line is ours, so that makes sense for Caldera Clay and the Dragon Hunter Island.
Which was smack dab in the middle of all that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, I guess.
Very close to.
Yeah,
Like it was on Vigo's side of the line, but it was very close to.
exactly. Sorry, when you say in the middle of, I thought you meant in the middle of his territory. I'm like, what? No, no. But you're right. Anyway, speaking of Dragon Hunter Island,
Yeah, it's like on the verges of reaching the quote unquote real world.
yeah, really.
Looking at like the island itself, it's very different from the previous villain islands, I guess you'd say, that we've seen, where it's actually,
vegetation.
yeah, it's not devoid of color, and it's not like dark clouds twisting and twirling all around all the time. Like it actually has some color and some vegetation and some life to it. So it's nice to see a little bit of variety, I guess you could say,
It
from
also
our
has a
islands.
gigantic ribcage around there.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder where that came from. I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, it also has we get to see a lot of it, surprisingly. Whether at the very beginning when we first see it with Vigo walking Heather around, the spiral, we see that, or when they
Yeah,
come on
and
to
we get a lot more of it in the seasons which came after.
yeah,
we
well,
are
that's what I
we
was
are on
saying,
it a lot.
when they're trying to rescue Heather from the island, and they first take out or go through the typhoon meringues, and then Hiccup runs all around the island past like a bunch of the dragons and
Yeah,
cages.
actually, question: Do you guys was when in the episode where Vigo steals Berk's gold and where they meet Grump, was that on the Dragon Hunter Island as well?
No,
that
that was a different
entire
island.
I think that's assumed to be a different island, yeah. I don't think that's specifically...
Well, because they abandoned Dragon Hunter Island. That's the island that they completely abandon. And so they move kind of just to a whole different operation. I don't know where Yeah, I don't know if they'd have it on here. I mean, it'd be funny if they had like a kind of tiny one. What is that? It's Healer Island. Yeah, it's probably just. It was definitely a different island where they did the auction. Uh, and as well as a different island for um the whatchamacallit, the where they built the ship on the dragon. So
Yeah, I think it's assumed that's a different island as well.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it makes sense that they'd keep moving islands. Why would they keep doing it at the same spot, right?
Yeah, maybe that's the big base of operations, while
Where it
the
was,
the
yeah,
other places are, yeah, where it was. But yeah, and they have a few side businesses every other place.
hmm
But something interesting that I never really figured out from just watching the show, and I'm saying this only now to this matter, is that, let's see, Caledra City, which is the headquarters for the Defenders of the Wing, is literally close to it's like 2 hours away
You
via
remember
Dragon
what?
Tech.
Well, yeah, it is 2 hours away. Interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know
Well,
about
again,
that.
it's probably worth keeping in mind Russia's, like what you said before
Scale.
about scale. Yeah, like some of the scale might be a little off because again, this is like tried to be constricted into like a real world geographical location, which
Yeah,
maybe wasn't the best idea. I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
nice to have for a fan, but if you actually want to see, how the world is actually spaced out, it'd be nice to get a different
yeah,
map from DreamWorks as well at some point. But until then,
probably.
we kind of have this to go with for now.
Because
So
based on on the drawings on the map alone, it looks like they're neighbors, and I can only imagine them as like the assholes neighbors towards each other, like, stop messing with our pets. We don't want to. Fuck you too. Let us sleep. We don't want to.
Yeah, the other thing you have to think is maybe this was if we go back to the episode again where Vigo hands pick up the map and Caldera K is right next to the line, like is the Dragon Hunter Island close to it or not? That's just one thing to think of. But yeah, they are really close to each other. But Caldera K is another island with definitely some good life to it, I should say. I don't know. It's not again. It's not
Good
another dead
life.
island. Well, yeah. I mean, you have. Well, it would be a dead island if the Reptidon wasn't there. But, um, too soon. Yeah.
Probably.
Well, that's Dragon's Edge.
Probably.
That's too soon. Actually, no. We're about to get the new season in 2 weeks. It's definitely not too soon. Um, God, I'm excited. Anyway, but yeah. So there's an
Yeah,
active
we're all
volcano
around.
with an erupted dawn, and even just outside the volcanoes, there are freaking trees, man. To the entrance of the volcano they walk in, when they get ambushed outside at Defenders of the Wing Part 2, there's trees and bushes out there. So, there's lots of vegetation on this island. And then
yeah,
the Defenders of the Wing city itself is really nice as well.
it's another very distinct area that is very different.
hmm
I agree, which is good to have. It's nice to see them be able to create these new places that we get to see that are very distinct and very unique to a degree
hmm
from each other. Like I can definitely see like, okay, this is Caldera K that we're on, and now I'm on Dragon's Edge, and now I'm on
Yeah.
Berk. Like I can definitely see the
Yeah.
differences between each island, and that's a good thing.
hmm One
Yeah, you
other
can
thing
tell
is,
apart where you are, because otherwise, if we couldn't tell where we are, we would be lost right now,
yeah, really.
because actually, all I see is water around us. Do you guys know where we are?
Yeah, exactly. Another thing is for Caldera K, we see a lot of it. We see a lot of the city in Defenders of the Wing Part 1. We see a little bit of the volcano and stuff in the Part 2. But then the next season, Season 4, we actually get a lot of that. We get the city and most of the island when Snotlout is doing the trials. Um, we get a lot of the volcano in the Eruptodon episode with the egg, and
Yeah.
yeah, so we get to see a lot of that.
Anyway, coming back to the movies, next up is, Itchy Armpit and Eretz Fortress, which Valka blew up. Okay, blew up was probably not the best verb to go with. Attacked. Let's go with this. But something interesting about this is that these are a lot more south than north. So it is interesting that now, if Dragon's Edge is really gone by the time How to Train Dragon 2 takes place, then it's interesting to see Hiccup try and explore more of the south of Berk rather than the north, because he's already been to the north, he knows all of that, so he tries to find new places, and that's pretty cool.
It does make some sense, too, considering he probably wouldn't want to get too far away from Berk just yet. You know, considering what he's kind of dealing with in his own mind and what he's kind of going through with, you know, emotionally and stuff of that nature, it kind of makes some sense that he would want to still stay within a certain amount of time from Berk so he could easily get back to it. But it also makes sense that he wants to see new areas and new places, so he would go in a different direction. The thing that I think bothers me a little bit is, like, we get from, you know, Itchy Armpit and Eretz Port all the way to Valka's, you know, nest or mountain or whichever.
I did want to say this, that he tries to find Eret again to take him to you know, Drago, and then so instead of heading back to the south, he's all of a sudden it's a lot more north. So what, did they fly there? Didn't see them there. Well, decided to look somewhere else.
It does make you, you know, kind of wonder, like, Hiccup has a lot of really good luck at finding people in the middle of the ocean, practically.
Yeah. And here's another big issue.
We can't assume Eret sailed north or in that northerly direction, so we can assume that, you know, Drago at that point in time was located in a more northerly direction as well.
So, yeah, two things on that. For one, it makes sense in terms of, you know, north and south. But time-wise, again, another time issue here. Mainly because, so, if we think like Eret's base, if we go to Itchy Armpit, there's no ice anywhere except for Eret's base, from what I remember. But then if you head north, Drago's base is like completely in an ice shelter, and it's not even like Bill Willoughby's ice. It's like a huge ice shelter that looks completely different from. And then Valka's, when you get to more Valka's base, there's ice all around it, and snow all around it, and then when Hiccup finds Eret, they're in glaciers around them, and so. But another huge time thing is, if like we're to believe that How to Train Your Dragon 2 is within, say, 2 or 3 days, basically, yeah, the timing on these is ridiculous. 61 hours from Dragon's Edge, then just to go even more north, 13 hours.
I guess it comes down to suspension of disbelief to a degree.
Speaking of disbelief about timing.
Or we had motorboats a lot sooner than what we thought.
Dragons fly faster than motorboats. Are you kidding me?
Probably, yeah. You know, I do have something to say. Hiccup, as far as we are aware, started flying on Toothless and reached Itchy Armpit. He left Berk really early in the morning, we can assume. So, like, by the time the Dragon Racers at the beginning of the movie start, probably halfway there. All of a sudden, Astrid shows up like a minute after him, and she's already won the race. So, wait.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe I'm really underestimating the power of feeding chicken to dragons. I don't know. And by chicken, I mean every other chicken that's not Tough Nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, Tough Nut is eating a chicken leg in the second movie. I'm just saying.
He gave
I'm just saying.
Dreams.
Well, maybe the only one who can eat her once she died is him. That's just got dark. Maybe because I'm hungry here, but anyway. Our next step after Eretz Fort is actually Valka's hideout, which again, we talked about this. How is it all the way up to the north? And to be honest, if Dragon's Edge is so close to it, then how come they never actually found this place?
I mean,
'Cause-
again, it comes down to the scale thing.
Yeah.
But it also, to a degree, I would say it makes sense, right? Like, they probably never came that far or had no reason to come that far as
Especially
of that
Glacier
time.
Island was just a bit to the other side of that.
Yeah. And, going to Glacier Island, they probably decided there's not much of a reason for us to go much further than this, and they probably didn't see anything further out than that either. And at the time, also, they're dealing with the dragon hunters and trying to explore the rest of the area around Berk and probably
Actually,
stay
before we go
within...
back to this analysis, I just realized something.
Mhm.
Volca was taken from Berk all the way to that nest. So in a quick calculating this quick, we're talking about 47 hours of flight.
Mhm.
What do you think happened during those 47 hours? Like, Stoic, no, after the...
Stoic, no. Stoic,
Yeah.
no. Are we going to get there
I'm
soon?
going to rewrite the fan fiction once we get back from here. Like, I'm going
It's
to
gonna
add a minute.
To fanfiction writers, if you want something fun to
40
write, it could be a
chapters
definite
of-
fun thing to write.
3 hours later,
Yeah.
Stoic, ... No.
Yeah, and she says the ...
Yeah. I have to go to the bathroom, Dragon. Are you gonna let me down?
Mhm.
And then he answers
Whatever
in
you
his
say is
other
cool,
Sean
that.
Connery voice. No, I'm not gonna let you down.
But it's Toothless with a Sean Connery voice, not Cloud Jumper.
Cloud Jumper can have a Sean Connery voice.
Cloud Jumper can have any voice he wants.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like an owl. They're supposed to be wise.
So, you just said that it needs to have the voice of the owl. And Craig Ferguson, Gabber, voiced the owl in the Winnie the Pooh movie from 2011, which means Craig Ferguson voices 2 characters in this franchise.
We'll just say Cloud Jumper is Patrick Stewart. There you go.
Because we talked about them.
Yeah.
Just to give a bit of context here, Wolf and I talked about Patrick Stewart voicing the Pooh emoji in that one movie.
Did he actually?
And
Yes, he did.
yeah,
Oh God, how the mighty have fallen.
He did it on purpose, according to him. So
Oh.
he wanted the role, according to him. But getting back to Itchy Armpit and
Something
Valka's
that
hideout,
is-
this is something I want to really talk about for the second movie. Like, I loved the design of both of these places and seeing them.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like, it was just, they're absolutely beautiful, which, I mean, they should be, I guess, but it was definitely a nice change of pace to see these two places compared to the first movie where we mostly only saw Berk and Dragon's Island, which were, interesting to look at and beautiful places themselves, but compared to these two places, they're very distinct as well, and that's a very nice thing to see.
Another thing to note is that is the first off my desktop background, and second off, it's the YouTube videos that I post. I use that as the still image for the stream.
Yeah,
So it's
until
basically
I
just
get
the
my
area
computer
around
back.
Itchy Armpit, yeah. But it's really nice. It
yeah,
is-
it's from the actual The Art of How to Train a Dragon 2 book. My friend has it, so I know. I read through it.
yeah. So a very nice, very beautiful
Ma-
place.
Yeah, beautiful places indeed. Okay, so now the next location we're talking about is Drago's Fort, where we first see him. Can anyone point this up on the map for me?
It's not on
But
here
it's
as far as I'm aware.
It's not on here. Okay,
And I would also
because
I would also say it's not really his fort, more his flotilla.
you know what I mean. But I just want to say, let's assume, okay, how, based on the times this map gives us, how much time do you think it takes between Berg and there?
Probably about similar to what it would be between Valka's Mountain and Berk.
Okay, so basically the 47 hours, as we said. Okay, so if you guys remember the Leffy comic that Rush dubbed wonderfully, by the way, it was really well done.
Okay.
And I just wanted to imagine this entire comic thinking that Drago went all the way to Berk. 47 hours he spent from his life to threaten Hiccup again, and he reaches Berk finally after all this time, and this is what he hears.
I mean,
Leffy's comic just got a whole lot better.
Yeah.
You know, Leffy, if you're watching this, make a prequel comic of the journey he went through to reach to that point, and then Hiccup just like shrugs him off. Like I have a lot more problems than you, bigger problems than you right now. 47 hours all went to waste.
Yeah. But so for the fort, we don't see much of it. It's just huge chunks of ice
really,
and boats.
Yeah,
it's
and also
basically just a bunch of ships. Like it's again, like I said, I think you should probably consider it more of a flotilla because he's probably moving around and not staying in one place for very long.
Yeah,
if at
I
all.
did want to say it's kind of moving. Also, we see like the entire thing is being held by Drago's Bewilder Beast, which is in the middle. And when
Well, they were in an ice cave, really.
It's not really being held by the Bewilder Beast. More like his ship in particular is probably being pulled somewhat, but that's about it. The rest of the ships are kind of sail on, follow, keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can totally imagine Drago doing this. Like, I'm in front of you, keep up with me. And then somebody passes him. Rush, give us a yell. Perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hey, I didn't want to deafen you guys.
Too bad you didn't did this the first time. Well, you didn't even give us a warning. But
Yeah.
anyway, the last place we can really talk about is Nepetin, or however you pronounce it. But that's not on the map because
No, it is.
Actually,
it's
it
south.
is.
It's,
They actually do have it.
almost directly south
it
of
is.
Berk.
So where is it? You just told me it's not on the map.
I
No,
thought it wasn't, but it is. It's
south
a
of
little bit
Berk,
southwest
directly
of
south
Berk.
of Berk, and then east, not west.
Oh yeah, east.
East
My
of
bad.
east of Berk.
No,
Give me a
Go
sec.
south. Go south of Berk, and then
Okay, I'm going south.
You probably have to zoom in
my-
a little bit to read it.
Wait, I think I see it. Yeah, there it is. There's Nepetin.
Nipen. But yeah, we did see a lot of this island, but it seemed to be kind of consistent in the fact that it was just more of a. It's basically what you would assume of like a Pacific island almost, where it's a bunch of just flora and fauna and spas and sand. Like there wasn't too much character to the island. There was a character on the island,
Ironically
but there wasn't
enough,
too much.
because the entire island is pretty much dragon characters.
Yeah. So I mean, as interesting as it is, it's just your standard, Hawaiian island. But even then, it's
Well-
not as interesting as a Hawaiian island.
It's your standard
Yeah.
Hawaiian island if it's located where they say it's located at, in a very odd place considering temperature-wise, but
Yeah.
that's
Well,
probably
mean,
more
the
so due to
the island of Frey,
Forever Wings.
where they travel to with the Grimoras, the leeches. That's just north of it, and that was somewhat temperate.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, that's just about it.
Anyway. Yeah, so we pretty much went past every location in the How to Train a Dragon world, every location that we thought was worth bringing up. Because let's be honest here, what can we really say about Changewing Island?
Yeah, or Eel Island. How about this? Any of the Dragon Islands?
I mean, they're distinct places. Like, you're definitely going to be able to tell them apart from one another, I would say. Each and every
Yeah,
single one of
but
them.
Yeah, but it's
one
not really
of my kind of theories in trying to connect the movies with the show a lot more is that I always thought what would happen if Volca met Mara. And to be honest, based on this map, it seems like a pretty likely possibility.
Yeah, I would agree.
What do
Like,
you
it's
think?
definitely possible. It's definitely possible the characters could potentially run into one another, but possibly not as well, since Mala apparently, according to the Officer of the Wing, the queen or king doesn't leave the island very often, if at all.
Yeah, and if Valka
Well,
flew to the island, she
Valka
would
could
receive the
go
same treatment
explore,
that
try to save more dragons.
well, Valka would have received the same treatment that Hiccup did, except for the dragon hunters would be have
King of all
sabotaged.
dragons is with her.
They wouldn't have sabotaged. Well, if she took the Bewilderbeast with her.
Can you imagine the Bewilderbeast and the Raptidon actually becoming BFFs, even though one is lava and one is ice?
And one is magnificently smaller than the
Yeah.
other. It's like
I
Patton
believe
with
in the
talent.
Eruptodon. I believe in the Eruptodon. It could take it.
Interesting.
Always
But yeah.
believe in the little guy. No, like it's definitely possible, right? Like we definitely know Valka dealt with dragon hunters in her time,
Hmm.
because she definitely dealt with Eret. Although she went really far out of her way to deal with
Actually, I
Eret.
think I'm not
Yeah.
sure about the line one for one. But when she sees Tutus's prosthetic tail, she asks Hiccup, "Did Drago and his hunters did this as well?" Maybe she's more referring to Vigo because he was closer.
It's
to-
possible, but again, like I want to believe she really had it out for Eret, simply because she went really far out of her way to get Eret.
Yeah. That was what I was
Well,
gonna say. I was gonna say after that, if she goes that far to get Eri, who knows? She could have met Mala. That'd be funny. Like at the very last episode when they
Yeah,
leave,
but
when they leave Defenders of the Wing
Eret-
forever, it's like Mala says to Throg, it's like he reminds me of a lady I met a couple years ago. That'd be a pretty funny one, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Actually,
No,
that's something.
but that's something
Okay.
I do want to point out that I think I already talked about this. That Eret seems to be like a lot to have a smaller business than Vigo. So because Eret also refers to himself as a hunter, and not as
A trapper.
a trapper, not a hunter. Volka says hunter, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's
So
just
she,
being predictable.
when she blows up Eret's fortress in the deleted scene, which is canon, just wasn't shown in the movie, she probably saw it as like weird analogy, but imagine if this was a game, this was a side mission, not the main mission.
Well, it's cutting off. For one, she's just trying to save the dragon. She's not trying to stop Drago. It's really like I wouldn't say it's a side mission. It's an actual mission. She's trying to cut off the supply of dragons. Now, when you think about it, the dragon hunters themselves, they trap dragons and sell them to the highest bidder. So that's a separate business. For Eret, it's his only business is to trap and sell to Drago. He's basically employed by Drago. Not nicely,
Yeah.
I might add. So that's probably the difference between hunters. So when Volka says Drago and his hunters, it's probably just the whole lot of them, as opposed to just like the specific trappers. Like you really wouldn't say Drago and his trappers. That's not menacing enough, to be honest.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
It's also
Oh, well.
again, it's worth remembering, like the Grimborns, the hunters, them and the hunters they employed very much didn't just sell dragons alive. They sold them dead too.
Exactly.
Like we hear them talk about
Silverback
pelts
skins.
and skins, things of that nature. And then we also know for a fact they use the dragons for many other things as well. Like they know how to make Gronkle iron, they use that, and they get like a ton of different stuff from the dragons. So for them, it's an all-around business of, they use everything and they do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Drago's probably only a small part of that business overall.
Yeah.
Probably. But I think that's all the locations we have. Anything you want to add on one of them before we try and get the hell out of here?
No, I got nothing. I mean, like you said, we really have no other major islands to cover. They're all just too minor or too stale to really go over.
Again, like I said, I'd like to see a map, that's more like in-world and not like try to be constricted
Crunched
to
together.
something that's,
You know that until How to Train Dragon 3, there will probably not be like an official final map, like ever.
hmm And there may not be one after that too. So, but I would like to see one. If we can get one, that'd be nice to have.
Yep.
Like it'd be nice to be able to see a more, again, an in-world map more, so that everything's not as constricted and not being confined to try and fit in a space that it's probably not meant to fit in.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think that's been all for this episode of the Berkcast. We hope you enjoyed our little geographical analysis of Berk and its surroundings. If you want to inform us about any of this, because we're literally stuck here, I don't know how to get out of here. Do you guys?
We'll
I think
figure
it'll
it
take
out.
us a week to get back.
If
Okay.
Hiccup will find us, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
he'll find us. He has the
Wait,
Hiccup
what
has
is
a
this?
superpower.
There's something flying above us. Hey, well, he flew away.
Yeah, he saw us and ran.
I don't blame him.
Ran, he flew.
HC would probably try and describe Sonic to him.
Wait, Hiccup,
How
no!
in the
I
middle
have a
of
fan
the
fiction with
ocean?
you in it. Oh God, I'm not dealing with this.
For some reason, I'm stuck in the middle of the ocean with these two, and for some reason, Sonic is still in there, and they blame me for bringing him up.
It was your idea for us to sail out here and tour the islands in the first place.
Point
Day
made.
4. We just ate HC. The wolf is looking mighty delicious.
Day 5, I managed to escape Russia's stomach.
It was quite a painful process.
Now I know what it's like to be born again, because I came.
Oh, good lord.
Alright, yes, let's,
Okay,
I should
so
just cut off
this has been all for this episode, and probably most brutal episode of the Berkcast. We hope you enjoyed until the last, 5 minutes of it. So if you want to tell us how to get out of here, or fix us, or inform us about anything in the How to Train a Dragon geographical world, you can do this on either Dragon Mail, if we'll get it. We don't have specific coordinates. And you can also do this on the Berkcast Twitter. Berkcast is capital B, capital C. We're also on Tumblr, Berkcast Team, and on the comments on the YouTube video. So until next time, I was HC.
I'm Rush.
I've been Wolf.
And as Wolf starts chewing on my leg for
No.
some reason, oh god, I'm starting to hallucinate. But until next time, we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.